In this video, I'm going to be showing you everything you need to know about the Dermis tool and the Dermis stands for Ark Survival Ascended, including how to get dermises, what bosses you can get dermises from, as well as changing the appearance of the dermal stand and getting multiple dermises of the same creature. The Dermis tools unlock at level 10. You'll need 4 engrams for the bases and 3 engram points for the taxidermy tool. You'll notice a small change from Ark Survival Evolved. There's no longer different sized taxidermy bases in the engram menu. There's just 1 engram that you unlock for all different size bases. The taxidermy tool is made in your inventory and requires flint, stone, and wood. The taxidermy base is also made in your inventory and requires stone, wood, and thatch. Taxidermy bases can be either placed on top of a foundation or on the ground anywhere you're allowed to build. Taxidermy stands can also be placed underwater. You might be wondering why you'd want to put a taxidermy base underwater, but it actually has a use for PvP. You can hide a taxidermy base among the reeds, and it's unlikely to be noticed by enemy players. The taxidermy base has storage for up to 10 items, so you can put some of your beach bug kit in there and hide it with the hopes that it won't be found by other players. The maximum amount of taxidermy bases you can have in an area is 150. As mentioned earlier, the different size of the taxidermy bases is no longer in the engram menu, it's in the placing menu. So you can see down the bottom here that if you hit R, you move from the small taxidermy base to the medium, and then hit R again to get the large taxidermy base. This means that all bases require the same building materials, which is a good thing because in the old Ark, building a large taxidermy base was pretty tricky. To get the dermis of one of your tamed creatures, it's really easy. You just simply go up to it and whack it with the dermis tool and you'll get its dermis. Then to display it, take it from your inventory and put it in the dermis section of the dermal stand, and there it is, you have the dermis. Now if you want another dermis, you can go up and whack it, but you won't get one. But there is a way around this. What you need to do is cryo up your tame, then you can throw the creature back out again, equip your dermis tool, and then if you hit it again, you can grab a second dermis from the same creature. You can continue to do the cryo uncryo several times to get as many dermises as you want from that one creature. You can collect the dermis from your creature while it's alive, but if that creature happens to die, you can hit it again with the dermis tool and also collect another dermis from it. This might be a good way to pay tribute to some of your fallen favorite dinos. A note to say that when you take a creature's dermis, that all of the event and special colors you have, be it on a wild creature or a tamed one, will transfer to the dermal stand. So you can see here, when we put that Rex's dermis here, all the color regions match exactly. When you open up the dermis stand, you'll notice that there is also a saddle slot and a costume slot. So if you have, say, a skeletal costume, you could put that on your display, and you can also put a saddle on, and that gives an extra cool look to your dermal stands. If you would like to collect a player dermis, you cannot collect it from a living player. If you want your own dermis, you'll probably need to remove yourself with your implant, respawn, and then using the dermal tool, hit your own body, and then you can get a copy of your own dermis. If you want to collect the dermis of your tribe mates or allies, you can't simply walk up to them and whack them with the dermis tool. It won't give you the dermis. However, if they die, you can whack them with the dermis tool, get their dermis, and put a cool display back at your base. Here you'll notice that the hair is not right. I'm not sure if this is a bug or a feature at the moment. Once you equip the player dermis into the dermis slot, you'll see all these extra features come up. You can put all sorts of armor, weapons, as well as offhand weapons into the display area, so you can really customize up your character. If you want to get a wild creature's dermis, you can't simply hit them with your tool and expect to get a dermis. In fact, that just makes them mad. If you want the creature's dermis, you'll need to kill it. Once it's dead, you equip the dermis tool and go up and whack its body, and you'll see on the left hand side that you get a +1 dermis. A similar rule applies to wild creatures. You can only get 1 dermis. If you hit it again, you will not get another. Just note that this applies to other players too. If your teammate or ally wants to get the same dermis of that creature, there can only ever be 1 available. You can see here that Mr. Krabby has his dermal tool equipped. He's going to go up and whack the Triceratops. He got the dermis. Now if I go and try, you will see that I only get raw meat. No dermis available for me. Of course, you don't have to kill the creature by hand in order to be able to get its dermis. You can see that we're fighting this wild corrupted stego here without Rex. We've killed it. Now make sure you don't harvest the body. You go and whack it with your dermal tool and you can collect its dermis. You don't even have to kill the creature yourself in order to be able to get its dermis. This Rex here was killed by some corrupted stegos. We're going to go up to it, whack it with our dermis tool, and we're able to get a dermis. Basic rule is if it's got a body and it's dead, you can get its dermis. And if we apply that logic, that means that we should be able to get the dermises from all the bosses in the game. So I'm going to go and test to see which bosses will give us a dermis. First off, testing the Manticore on Scorched Earth. It has a body. We hit it with the dermal tool and got the dermis. Heading over to the island bosses, we were able to get a dermis from the Megapithecus, as well as the Broodmother and the Dragon, and you can see them all on display here. Aberration is where it gets really interesting. When you defeat Rockwell, his body collapses into the element water and you cannot get to it to get the dermis, so no Rockwell dermis. On the Extinction map, you can collect the dermises of the Titans. You can see we're getting the Ice Titan one here. You can also collect the dermis from the Forest Titan and the Desert Titan. The King Titan disappears now into dust. He no longer leaves a body, so you cannot get his dermis either. I'm going to use these ones to show you some of the new features that are available with the dermis stands in terms of display setting. First thing to note is that if you look at the Desert Titan, it is on a rather boring looking pole. If you want to get rid of that, you simply go up to the taxidermy base, you hold down the radio wheel, and then over here you'll see an option that says hide pedestal. So you just go ahead and do that, and now it's floating and it looks way cooler without the pedestal there. If you want to get it back, just hold down the menu and then enable it again. The next thing you can also do if you want to kind of have these more as a decor and maybe you don't like the look of the taxidermy base itself, it doesn't blend in with your builds or you're building kind of a museum, what you can actually do is hold down the radio menu here, and again you can actually hide the base. So you can see the Forest Titan is now just on the floor. I really like the look of this. I think it looks really cool, and I think it allows you without the base to do a little bit more fun things with the dermis. The other thing that you can do position wise is you can do different poses for the creatures. So again, hold down the radio menu here, and down the bottom you'll see next pose. So you can just cycle through and select the pose that you like the best. You can also go to previous one if you decide you want that one better. So that's how you can change all the appearance. You can remove the posts, you can take the base away, and then you can change the positioning of the creature on the taxidermy base as well. My name is Crabitron, and I can't believe I talked about dermis stands for 7.5 minutes. If you like accurate and good guides for Ark Survival Ascended, you can click this one here or subscribe to the channel for more.